Christian McCullum, Irish Sports Daily, here at Thayer Academy in Massachusetts with head coach Jeff Toussaint. Coach, we just heard from Samson. What is it about him as a player that makes him this true national prospect?
Well, outside of the obvious physical traits of his height and his weight and his athleticism, those are all pretty obvious to anyone who sees him. But to me, it's his drive. He continues to go to, he's rated so highly, but yet he continues to go and test himself against the best out there at the Under Armour camp, and I think it was the Nike camp. He's done a couple in the past month, which I think a lot of kids in that position might say, well, what do I have to gain by doing this? I'm already rated the top lineman in the country, or the top 3 or 4, whatever it is. So it's his drive to continually get better and to perfect the craft of playing offensive line. And also, what stands out to me is also his curiosity, his diligence. When he recruits, as he's getting recruited and talking to coaches, he has in-depth conversations with O-line coaches about technique that they teach, about the scheme. And I've heard on several occasions from O-line coaches that when they talk to him, they feel like they're talking to a fellow O-line coach in college.
How have you seen him kind of develop over the years here in terms of all that drive and the curiosity and all that stuff?
Well, I think it really took hold during the pandemic of all times. I mean, he played here as a freshman in 2019, and he was about 330, and he was carrying a lot of extra weight around the middle, and he's really trimmed that off. He did that by wrestling, and that first winter he wrestled here. And just to see, so his body, he dropped about 25 pounds that winter. And in addition to that, he took to wrestling and loved it, to the point where he was our league champion and New England champion this past winter. So to see him transform that year, and then the benefit of having his older brother Samuel, who's now at Pittsburgh, an early enrollee at Pittsburgh, to have him kind of take him under his wing and work out. They worked out a ton during the pandemic and put a lot of things up on Twitter, and he really developed then. They went to these to different, I wouldn't call them camps, but they were workout sessions with a local guy in the area who's a line coach, and they really just made the most of that time.
All right. Someone's going to get a great player. I mean, what are they going to get? You talked about that drive and stuff, but how about just like the characteristics, physical characteristics of playing offensive line?
I think whoever gets him is going to get a kid who's ready to play as a true freshman in the fall of 23, for sure, and ready possibly to be a starter. I think to be a starting left tackle, if that's what the team needs, in the fall of 23 as a true freshman. And he's got in addition to the physical skills, he's got the knowledge of schemes, and he talks a lot, through his conversations that I mentioned earlier with coaches who are recruiting him. He's learned a lot about schemes and about reading defensive fronts, and also rotation of the secondary as he's in his 2-point stance. So I think they're going to get a kid who's ready to play right away, and not only is he ready to play, but as he is now, he picks things up quickly. You don't have to tell him things 2 or 3 times. He's very smart. He listens to you. He processes. He's very coachable.
Okay. And how about Notre Dame? I mean, either how have they recruited him, or obviously he's got a decision. He's got lots of options. But
Yes.
is there some kind of similarities between a place like this and Notre Dame, or how do you think that potential could be a fit?
I think Notre Dame's a great fit for him. Coach Heastan is awesome. I've really enjoyed meeting him. I met Coach Freeman at one point. And I think obviously the history of the school and the program is it speaks for itself, and not only that, but the history of producing offensive linemen speaks for itself as well. So it's just a matter of Samson figuring out. He's got offers from just about everybody in the country, any program in Division in FBS. It's a matter of him deciding where he wants to go. It starts off with winnowing it down to official visits, and then down to from those, which place he's going to commit to and attend. And they're all so good. I mean, all the schools are good schools. They all have great line coaches, many of whom have coached in the NFL, so they know what it's like to coach at that level. They know what it takes to get to that level, and they all have head coaches and strong conferences and big stadiums and awesome atmospheres. So it's going to be a difficult choice, I'm sure. And I'm impressed by him because he seems to be handling it with maturity and with a coolness about him, where he doesn't really show a lot of stress or anything. He just kind of handles things, takes things in stride, and I think he knows he'll make a decision on his own. We'll see where it is.
You talked about his brother being at Pitt now. How much are you going to miss Samson when he's gone?
Oh man, I'll miss him quite a bit because of he and his brother, the two of the best players, are potentially the two best I've ever had here. I've had some others who've been, I had a kid who played at BC. I had a kid who was a Buck Buchanan Award winner who played at UNH. Great players, and several others, but no one to the level. None of whom have been recruited to the level that Samuel and Samson have. So they're special players, and not only they produce on the field, but their work ethic is very deliberate, and there's a no-nonsense approach to it. They don't really have egos. They just play. Samuel, the older brother, he played O-line one game. He's an incredibly talented, fast tight end, and he agreed to play tackle one week, and he did. And without complaining about it, he just did it. So if you have kids that talented who are willing to do that, then I mean that just influences everybody else, I think, to do the same.
Perfect, Coach. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.